Hello gorgeous, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be teaching you the lessons I wish I knew when I was your age. I'm going to help you make the mistakes. No wait, that's not what we're going to do. No, that's not, definitely not what we're going to do. I'm going to help you to not make the mistakes that I made when I was your age. Whatever age you are, I just want to say you are more than welcome to watch. Thank you for being here. Without further ado, let's get into it. By the way, makeup check. I was going for glow. I was going for mermaid. Why did I take my ring off? Oh. Anyway, vibes, if you like, now's the time to, if you want. Honey, things will get better even if it doesn't feel like it. I can't even imagine what you're going through. Now, I'm not saying the experience of being a 16-year-old isn't different for everybody, but I think most people can relate when we say that being a teenager or just being an adolescent, being a person that's growing up, can be an extremely confusing, frustrating roller coaster time where you are just surrounded by expectations of what you should be, what you are, what you're not. You don't really feel like a child, but you're also not fully an adult. It's just like a really strange in the middle phase, and it's almost like you're starting to figure yourself out and it's coming out in janky ways, and at the same time all of your peers are like judging you, and like it's just a really chaotic, pressurizing time. I don't know what the word is, but I just want to say, like, there's so much. And I think also one really important thing to note, I don't know if this is the same for a lot of people, but when I was 16 I noticed a lot of my trauma coming up, and like my relationships with my parents became more strained, and our communication issues were like such a thing because my parents didn't know how to communicate with me effectively. I didn't know how to communicate with them, so it was just an emotional, chaotic mess, and that caused a lot of chaos to say the very least. And you could ask any of my teachers. I was an interesting character, but I think at the same time, like, a lot of what I did, I was just acting out. And I'm not saying that's the same for you. You're probably well behaved compared to me, but I think any teenager can tell you that there are experiences that you go through where you just feel so alone and you feel like no one understands, and no matter what you say, it's like no one's listening. And I just want to say, hold on, like, it's more normal than you think, and you're gonna make it out, and you're gonna be able to look back and it's gonna make sense. And that's sort of gonna be your strength as well. It's gonna be what's gonna give you that older sibling energy, or that what's gonna make you a great parent someday, or just that what makes you a more wholesome, cool person when you actually do become like a full legal adult. I don't mean like a legal adult. And just hold on, and I promise you it will get better. I swear. I can speak from experience. Oh my god, listen. Everybody's opinion seems so important right now. How you look, how skinny you are, if you're dating, who you're dating. But I promise you, none of these things are a reflection of your actual self-worth. You're actually really, really cool. I've spoken about this in a previous video called Meeting Maya. It's like from a while back on my channel, and I talk about in that briefly how your uniqueness is what people end up paying you for as you get older. And in alignment with that, I think I tweeted about it, is one day you're going to be appreciated for your weird. You're going to be respected for your weird. I think in high school or secondary school, there's such a pressure to conform and fit in, and it's understandable. And I want you to know that that's not, you shouldn't feel guilty for wanting to fit in. You shouldn't feel guilty for wanting to be popular or to be respected or well-liked, even loved. It's not, you don't need to feel bad about that. I did as well at times, you know, I felt like, oh, I shouldn't want this, but it's a very normal, natural human inclination, because to fit in biologically would mean for us back in the day to survive. Okay, so don't worry about that. But at the same time, if you can, find a way to celebrate your uniqueness and appreciate how cool you are. It's one of those things, as you get older, it's so normalized to just sort of shed the things that make you you in the pursuit of financial success, I guess you could say. And I'm not going to say that it's necessarily right or wrong. I think it's very much circumstantial, and people, as you are pursuing something, you do need to sacrifice. And unfortunately, the way that it works is our hobbies and our things that make us us are the things that tend to go first, or that they end up being the things that we sacrifice first. But I want you to remember the importance of holding on to who you are, because no one can do you like you, and you could leave all that behind, but you will never find real joy in that, in leaving behind what makes you you. Another point to add to that is, when you do that, it might not mean much to you right now, but these things add to your confidence. These things make you see yourself as a whole person. And one day, if you keep it up, you will realize how important these things are in order for you to validate your own existence, sense of self, self-worth, etc. That you will stop keeping everybody else's opinions of you up on a pedestal, because you'll realize the importance of your own. Oh, bitch. Don't date another girl's dude. Don't. I promise you it won't be worth it. Now listen, all has been forgiven. This was a very long time ago. But let's just say your girl didn't know what her priorities were, and she was hurting and, like I said, acting out. And yeah, I did things that I wasn't proud of. I'm not gonna say I'm not proud of, because honestly, that was 16-year-old me. I'm different, and really is just, it's like bygones. It's really not that big a deal. But I think it's a balance between making mistakes. Like when you're growing up, it's okay, learn, grow, spread your wings, figure out who you are, let yourself make the mistakes. But at the same time, this is also a time where you get to decide who you're going to be, you know? And I made the decision of not really dating, but doing things I shouldn't have done with my friend's person. And yeah, yes, it takes two to tango, but at the same time, I still tangoed, right? And I don't want to be participating in something where I'm not proud of who I am, my character, and I'm still learning and I'm still figuring things out. But you want to make a decision that you're proud of. You want to be able to live with yourself. And listen, there's this quote for a reason. I don't remember the exact quote, but how you got him is how you lose him, if that makes sense. If you want to be with a cheater, don't be surprised if he cheats on you. That, but also, why would you want to be with somebody like that? Why? But the most important thing out of all of this is, why would you do that to your friend? Don't do that to your friend. You know, it's when you make that choice to date somebody else, when you choose to date the person, even saying it out loud is crazy. It really feels like a long time ago, because it was, but nearly 10 years. I'm old. When you choose to do that, you're choosing that person over your friend. Maybe that's okay with you. Maybe your friend is not somebody that you care about, but still, ask yourself if you're proud of who you are. Ask yourself if you would be okay with your friend doing this to you. And if not, then maybe it's time to reconsider your actions. This one. Your parents are people too. They are trying their best, I promise. And yes, they do make a lot of mistakes. This has taken me quite some time to learn. I think I didn't really clock it even until, I want to say last year or the year before, where I just looked at my parents fully like they are people. They are just people that decided to get married in their 20s/30s, decided to have babies in their 20s/30s, and raise those babies. I could equally make those decisions. What I'm trying to express here is that these are just two individuals that decided to come together and give adulting and parenting a shot. No one gave them a manual, and I've said this in a previous video, I don't remember which one, but you know, someone can even read all the parenting books, but there's never going to be a book that's perfectly tailored to you as an individual. And I think I was so frustrated, and in many ways rightfully so. I think generationally, and the fact that my parents are of Asian heritage definitely made some conversations a lot more challenging to handle or move through, or I don't even know, what's communication? But we eventually were willing to learn. willing to listen and to learn. And I'm not saying it came easily. I'm not saying we figured it out the first time around in our arguments. I'm not saying that we didn't sort of relapse, if you will, into old communication styles, if you can even call it that. But when you realize that your parents are just two individuals, if you're privileged enough to have two individuals that love you, then, or guardians, please just take this as if it's your situation, they're just two individuals, or however many in your situation, that are trying their best to nurture you. And they can only go based off of perhaps what their parents did and what their parents didn't do, and their intuition, I guess. And they're sort of bouncing off of you all the time, like, okay, what does my kid need? What do I think they need, more specifically? And sometimes they get it wrong. Many times they will probably get it wrong. And I think especially if your parents haven't been to therapy, they will not have a sense of self-awareness that they can bring to you. So if they're showing up in a certain type of way and you're just like, if you have the it's not braveness, bravity, I don't know what I'm saying. If you're brave enough to maybe put a boundary down, or to say, I don't like how you said XYZ, but in their culture or in their generation, they're not speaking the same language as you, it can be more challenging for sure. But it doesn't mean that they don't love you. It doesn't mean that they're not ever going to be willing to learn or see your point of view. And I think sometimes that miscommunication and constant butting heads, whether it's with one parent or both, or however many guardians you have, you can sometimes, I know I definitely felt like this, like the rebel child, or like the black sheep, or not that anyone necessarily called me that, but just through sort of osmosis, if you will, I just sort of ended up feeling like I was too much for my parents, and that I was just constant trouble. But I feel like you guys can't see my bracelet. I want to show you my bracelet. It's cute. I think I got it from like Italy or like Spain or something, if I'm not mistaken. But it can cloud your sort of judgment and your sense of whether or not your parents actually do love you. And I think for the majority of you guys, your parents probably do love you a lot. And for anybody that doesn't have that, I am incredibly sorry. I can't speak much on that because I don't want to either, because I don't have the personal experience and I don't want to give you guys bad advice. But for the people that do have parents or guardians that love them a lot, and you know deep down, crazy, don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. You know, oh, my ankle is cramping, haha. Just try and remember, especially when they drive you crazy, that they're people, and they're just trying and they're learning as well. Whether they express that or not, you'll notice, especially if you have a younger sibling, by the time they get to your younger sibling, they'll be more chill, more calm, and you'll be like, what the hell? What the hell? How do you get things so easy? You should be grateful. I forged that path for you, bitch. Yeah, I'm glad my sister can hear me now. You'll see that sometimes they're learning too, but their pride and their ego can keep them from admitting it. It depends on the parent. You know, I completely understand your frustration. I still live with my parents, so like, trust me when I say that. But when people love you, they will be willing to learn, you know, even if it takes like 20 years sometimes, but they will be willing to learn because they will see it as important. They will see it as important because it's important to you. They may not understand it, but they will try to respect it. And obviously, yeah, it does depend on the household, but this is especially for my 16-year-old version of me and anybody who was in a similar position to her. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna read off my paragraph, but listen. Talk about how you're feeling. Please go to a teacher and explain it rather than running away. People misunderstand you because you don't communicate your intention. I know you're hurting, but as you get older, you become responsible for letting people around you know what you're feeling and what you need. But it's okay. I know you're figuring that out slowly with time. So this is basically about your needs and how to communicate them. I think, like I said, I was hurting a lot. So, I mean, I'm not saying every 16-year-old feels this, but as you get older, the thing is, what you need to understand is people can't read your mind. and you can't read other people's mind. You might be quite intuitive. I was fairly intuitive, and I used to get frustrated at the world because I was like, here I am and I can read you and you're not taking the time to read me. But I will say that you can't blame people for not being, I guess you could say, as naturally skilled as you are in a certain area of life. And I mean, yeah, like I said, I was intuitive, so I just feel very frustrated that I could be so empathetic and understanding and other people couldn't meet me the same way. And I felt the most safe with my school counselor. I felt like she would always make space for me and see me and understand me and take the time to understand me, even if I didn't make sense at first. She would just give me that space to have a creative outlet as well. Like, she would let me just sit in her office and draw, and she got me back in touch with art and creating and expressing my emotion, and I will forever be grateful to her for that. I really couldn't have made it through school without her. Oh, I don't want to get emotional, but yeah, it was hard. I think, like I said, it's that strange time where you're not fully an adult and you can't legally do like a whole lot of stuff, but you're also not a child anymore. What I'm going to say, and this might sound harsh, but as you get older, your brain is going to start making you feel like you're an adult biologically, whether it's to do with producing children or just in the way that you start taking action, or I guess you could say, I want to say rebelling. I think that might have more of a negative connotation, but going against what perhaps your parents would want you to do, or your guardians or society has said for you to do. You start having a mind of your own. Now, that is fantastic, and I actually, looking back, I wish that I'd had more of a nurturing environment for that. I think my parents were like, oh, we don't know what to do with her. I was also just a bit nuts, but I think that should really be nurtured in young people. So what I'm going to say to you, my little dose of nurturing, is this: if you want to act as an adult, be ready to take on the responsibility of an adult. So what that means is, with freedom comes responsibility. Now, you might muck it up in the beginning, and that's okay. You have the youth to be able to do that. When I first moved out to uni, right, I'd worked incredibly hard. I'd lost a bunch of weight as well. I'm not saying I was at my healthiest, but I really had a good sense of sort of discipline in my lifestyle. I moved away. What did I do? I stayed up. I ate a bunch of food. I ate whatever I want. I just did whatever I wanted. And it was the first time ever in my life that I really got that freedom. And on the one hand, it was great. You know, for a long time, it was great. But all of a sudden, it wasn't great anymore. That high, that joy, that excitement soured really, really quickly. And I'm sure you could be really responsible, but if you are, you're probably not watching this video. You could be really responsible, and you could be like, you know what, I'm not like that. I know what dose of freedom and sort of crazy and fun I want to incorporate in my life, and I know when to be disciplined. But what I'm saying is, for example, you might be like, I'm gonna go out with my friends. Okay, you're going out, but when are you coming back? Say if you're living with your guardians, maybe it's different in your household, that's totally fine. But let's say your parents expect you to communicate what time you're gonna be back. Communicate with that with them. Show them that you're a responsible adult, or responsible, I mean, you're not gonna be an adult at 16, but show them that you're a responsible person, because that respect for you as an adult, or that respect for you as an adult you're going to become, or that respect for you as the growing person that you are, the maturing person that you are, that has to be earned. Your parents or your guardians, if they love you, their first instinct is going to be to protect you, and at times that is going to frustrate the hell out of you. I would know. Now, in order for them to sort of loosen their grip, especially if you come from perhaps a more stricter background or conservative background, or I don't know, whatever, Asian background, that might be a little bit more so the case. You need to show them through your actions, not your words, through your actions, that you are ready to take on the responsibility of making decisions for yourself. No one can do that but you. Now that you're stepping into this new phase of growing into your adult self, which is honestly gonna happen like from your teens all throughout your all throughout your 20s, even say maybe mid-20s, you start to settle a little more in who you are and maybe where you want to go, but you might be lost for a long time, but you learn to hold on and enjoy the ride, sort of. my vomit along the way, but it's fine. You have to take the responsibility for communicating your needs as well. What do you need? What do you need from people? What do you need from life? What do you need from certain relationships? Don't feel bad about it. You're doing the right and responsible thing by going up to a teacher and saying, this is what happened this weekend. I've been incredibly unwell. I've gone to the doctors and I'm getting a sick note, da 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 da, if they need it. You know, can I have an extension, da 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 da, or you have the sick note already. Show up for yourself. And if anybody else wants to be weird, then that's their deal. I would act out. So I'm not saying I was aggressive or that I'd hurt people, nothing like that. But I would do a little bunking here and there, and I would just sort of, mostly bunking, to be honest. And at home as well, I'd like run away from home, stuff like that. But we don't need to talk about that. I want you to know this as well. There are numbers that you can literally call. You can talk to the GP. This is important. Now, I'm not saying that I've done this more than like once or twice. I don't like calling the GP if I'm going through like a mentally difficult time, but it's good practice to call them. And the reason that I say this is because, especially if you decide to go to uni, having the GP be able to write something for you is a lot more valid evidence-wise than saying, oh, I felt this way and I didn't call anybody about it, or I just called a friend. And I don't mean this in the way like you're making stuff up and you're using that as a crutch, but go to the right people for the right things. Not only can that doctor help you with your mental health, perhaps. I did talking therapies with the NHS a while ago, and I did CBT, and that actually genuinely did help me. Gosh, that was like 2 years ago now. It's on your record for you, and that's really important as well, especially like in school or in university. Having the GP know about what's going on with you rather than just bottling it up and trying to figure it all out on your own, that's, you know, you're going to be putting a lot of pressure on yourself. And I did that a lot. I used to be like, I'm going to figure it out on my own. I'm going to figure it out on my own because only I know my truth. And yes, to an extent, only you know your truth. But if you're so in it and you're feeling all of your emotions and you're going kind of crazy, your judgment of what's real and what's not real is likely to be clouded. Sometimes having a professional who is detached from your situation, who is unbiased, who has seen your situation in like multiple occurrences with a variety of people or many people your age or in your similar situation or something, they're going to be able to help you a lot better than you're going to be able to help yourself. And it can be scary asking for help. It can be scary taking that ownership and looking at the fact that you're just having a hard time. But you can absolutely do it, and I do believe in you. As cheesy as it sounds, I do. And all you need to do is just call up a number and be like, I want to talk about my mental health. Can we please discuss this? There is nothing wrong with taking up that space and starting to take ownership over yourself and letting people know what you need, advocating for yourself. Oh my god, this is so silly. Get to the objective first. No, art GCSE is not meant to be a form of expression, really, and yes, it bloody sucks. Don't worry, you won't choose it for A-level. This is me to me, by the way. But learn that school and university is always a test of application, aka can you meet the objective, rather than passion, persistence, and personality. Your love or hatred for a subject is irrelevant. All they care about is whether or not you can do the work. Learn this now because it's a big theme when you're trying to get hired or are even in higher education. Passion, persistence, and personality is what's going to help you advance, I guess you could say overall, in your career. But in order to get a job, in order to pass and meet your qualification requirements, things like that, that no one cares about whether or not you like the subject. No one cares about how much passion, how much love you have for it. All they want to know is, can you meet the criteria? And the reason I mention this, I mean, I really hope that this helps you guys as well. And it's an incredibly hard truth and a bitter pill to swallow. I hated that. For me, especially given the time that I was going through, I needed art as an outlet, and I chose it as a GCSE because I thought that, hey, I love art, I love expressing myself through it, I can do that. Boy, was I wrong. No, our GCSE was just, you learn techniques, which is, you know, looking back, I did learn some amazing stuff. I created some amazing stuff, but my heart wasn't in it, and that used to frustrate the heck out of me. But the sooner you realize the fact that this is not going to be that for you, the sooner you can find a solution, basically. So don't look to perhaps if there's an overlap, if you are able to balance both your passion for a subject and meet the criteria. Say, for example, I used to love science when I was like 12. I was incredibly passionate, and as a result of my passion for it, I was able to meet the criteria. You want me to do this homework? Easy. You want me to do that? Easy. But the problem with art was my passion for it did not overlap with what was needed for the criteria. So the sooner you're able to identify that school is probably going to be meet the criteria, meet the criteria, meet the criteria, the sooner you can stop putting the pressure on school to be that sort of passionate outlet for you, if you will. And then you're able to find a solution. So maybe you'll take up a club, maybe you'll start a hobby at home, maybe you'll be like, you know what, I don't want to do this the way that I thought I did. I don't want to study this at A level, or I don't want to study this at uni because it's just going to be this on steroids. Have the realization that a lot of school is going to be about meeting objectives. That doesn't have to be a bad or good thing, but just recognize it as a thing and then do with it what you will. My suffering and my struggle and my constant or consistent bad grades in art were a result of me looking for it to be an outlet. And so I would go in and I'd start with the details or the flowers or the whatever, but I wouldn't do the actual thing that was required in the homework. So don't create a rod for your own back. Don't be the cause of your own suffering and make something into something that it's not. Look at it for what it is and do the best that you can with it, and then outside of school, go and do what makes you truly happy. Practice discipline. I know right now you'd probably be like, what? But trust me, discipline is a muscle. I've got a video on my channel which is about how to be disciplined and 3 quick hacks that will let you sort of step into the version of you that you actually want to be. So go check that out if you need some help. But discipline is the art of doing hard work when you don't feel like it. Pick something you want to achieve, maybe those abs that you've been talking about for so long. Make a SMART goal and then go and teach yourself how to achieve it. This will be the foundation for the discipline that you maintain for the next few years. I honestly, I wish that I'd learned about discipline a lot sooner. No, stop it. Guys, I'm so sorry about the gardening noise. I'm gonna keep going, but if it gets really loud then I'll stop because I need to film this for you guys and I will not be stopping because of some gardening work. Okay, let's keep going. No! There is so much joy to be found in pursuing one's goals. So much joy, but actually pursuing them is somewhat an art as well. It's a test of character, it's a test of discipline, but it's so incredibly rewarding as well. Learn, teach yourself how to go after what you want, because the thing is, you are your own constant. I have said this before and I will say it again 1,000 times. You are your own constant in this life. You want to know that you can count on yourself. Your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship that you will have in this lifetime. Heal your relationship with you. Heal the way that you talk to yourself. At this point, there are probably many ways in which you speak to yourself that are just an echo of what has been said to you whilst you were a child, or an echo of what your parents say to you, or what your family or your household or your culture says to you about who you are, who you should be, your capability in this world. Heck, even your teachers, their voices stuck in your head. You now have an opportunity as you grow older to figure out if that voice is actually healthy for you, if those voices are actually healthy for you, and if that's actually beneficial for you to become the person that you want to be. As for your school subjects, pick what you enjoy. It's not that deep. Unless you know in your heart and soul what you want to do career-wise, what you choose for your A-levels should be what you enjoy. Like I said, they care about your grades, and if you're studying something that you're passionate about, or you're studying something that you care about, like I said, not passion where you're looking for it to be an outlet necessarily, but you really give a damn about that subject, you won't have to worry so much about getting good grades, because studying the subject will actually be a lot easier for you if you care about the subject and you have fun while studying it. I said to myself, you did a great job picking your GCSEs. A-levels, trust me, you'd be better off picking math, psychology and Spanish. Listen to your heart. The thing is, with so many things with studying, it's you that's going to be doing the hard work. No one else is going to be reading that textbook for you. No one else is going to be doing that homework for you, sweetie. Just you. The mind maps, the revision, the chaos of having to understand something and then find a tutor when you don't understand it and then pay for... No. Just pick something you like. Pick something you're curious about. Don't worry. I mean, I remember we would have open sort of evenings and stuff where we could go and see what each of the A-level subjects would be or each of the GCSE subjects would be, and there were literally people that were trying to make their decisions based off of what their bestie was doing. Why? Hello? Are you dumb? Is this your life? Are you guys conjoined? Like, what's going on? Really? Because it's your life. I don't care if your best friend is studying it. I don't care if you're scared. I don't care if the subject is geeky or nerdy or whatever you guys like to say nowadays, or it's weird, or it's, I don't know, like, I wouldn't say extra, but like out there and not what everyone else is doing or not what the cool kids are doing. Who cares? Trust me, when you're in it, no one. Pick what you like, pick what you're passionate about, and you will be great at it. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but you are far more likely to excel in it and have a lot more nonsense to deal with later when you can't meet the standards of what XYZ wants from you. Trust me on that. Sleep. Sleep, bitch. Sleep. I'm telling you. Sleep whilst you can. Sleep whilst you have time, and build good sleep habits, please. It's no good you going to bed at 7 p.m. one day, then going to bed at 2 a.m. the next day. And I get it, your body's figuring itself out, but there is no need to be chaotic with that. Sleep, because actually the more you sleep, the less hungry you will be. It's a hormonal thing. The less likely you are to keep eating crap. Therefore, the less likely you are to feel so crap about yourself because you feel like you have no self-control and you're just constantly hungry. Which, by the way, might I also add, is partially due to your hormones and where you are in your cycle. So stop beating yourself up over it. You're literally going through a growth spurt. Let me also say this. Do I say this anywhere else? No. Why didn't I say this? When I was 16, I was a size 8. By the time I was 18, I was a size 10. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, why am I gaining weight? And I hated it. I hated how my body gained weight. This is a side thing. I have plenty of other topics like this on my channel, sorry. I didn't know what was going on with me. I was like, why am I gaining weight? And it was happening in like the weird places. I was like, why are you going there? Why can't you go to my bum? You know, why can't you make me juicy? But no, just make my trunk really wide. Like, I didn't know what was going on. Your body is figuring itself out. I grew as well between 16 and 18. My height increased. You know, I wasn't expecting that. I was like, I thought the worst of it was over. And you wouldn't think, oh, growing, I mean, yeah, to be honest, the height part wasn't bad, but like, I didn't know what was going on with me, and you want to help yourself. Like, the process of growing up and going through puberty is already challenging enough as it is. Don't be depriving yourself of sleep unnecessarily as well in the process. The other thing is, when you don't sleep, you're far more likely to be in a more negative mood. You're going to struggle a lot more in school too because you're so tired. Just for the love of God, you can't act like the weekend is the time for you to just catch up, because it doesn't work like that. You can't go 4 hours, 5 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, and then 11 hours on the weekend. Now, maybe you can, but whether or not it's good for you, but also energetically how you feel, your body's still tired. You might be able to get those few hours on the weekend, but you're setting yourself up for such a toxic cycle with yourself, and you're going to be so exhausted. And another thing, I used to fall sick so much because of this. My immunity would just be compromised because I would not take care of myself. Sleep. Go to bed. Go to bed. Just do everything earlier. I've said this in a previous video. You create a ripple effect. If you normally shower before bed, instead of showering at 9 p.m. and going to bed, shower at 7. Your brain will automatically think, oh, I need to go to bed now. No, maybe not 7, but like, pick a time that's earlier than your normal to get the ball rolling and get your brain to sort of feel like it's a low effort, low resistance task. It kind of ties in with the discipline thing. Just help yourself out. You might still look cute now, but you keep that up, you're gonna be ugly in 5 to 10 years, I can tell you. I can tell you. You'll figure this one out soon enough. But you don't need to be two-faced to be cool. That's really not that honorable, and you truly are better than that. When I was about 15 or 16, my peers respected me for the fact that I would not say about anybody. I would be like a safe. And this was rare because anybody and everybody would just bitch about people. And not everybody. I have this friend, like, she was, bless her, she was so against bitching that she wouldn't even talk about something that happened with somebody else. Like, she wouldn't even be speaking negatively about them. She just refused to even talk about even a conversation about what she had. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, she wouldn't even want to talk about other people because she was like so morally like driven, bless her. Things have changed now. But yeah, for the most part, there was a lot of bitchiness, and a lot of people felt safe coming up to me and telling me their stuff because I wouldn't bitch, and I also took it upon myself to just be like a counselor for everybody during second break. I just really thought I was all of that. It's actually quite funny because when I was 11, I used to carry around like a little doctor like medical kit because I wanted to be a doctor at the time. Like, I put plasters, Dettol, everything. I don't know how I found that in my house. I just nicked it at the age of 11, and I was like, let me go and play doctor. So like my friends would fall over and I would go and put a plaster on for them. I don't know, I really was something else. I really was something else growing up. My parents probably didn't know what to do with me, but anyway. That then moved on to me being like a counselor. Like, people would literally come up to me and I'd be like, yeah, I can like book you in for like second break, and we can talk at the end of first break for like 5 minutes. And like between 4th and 5th period or something, like the 3rd and 4th period, I'll be going from this department to that department, come find me. Oh my god, like nonsense I used to get up to. But guys, not peer pressure, but I guess subconsciously peer pressure rubbed off on me eventually. And it's not that I was spilling everybody's deep secrets, not like that, but I again did things that I wasn't proud of. Somebody would be like, people would be beefing and somebody would be like, oh well, what do you think? And then I'd give my opinion, which is not something I would normally do. I lost my diplomacy, you know, I lost my integrity there, and I became like people. And this is another thing is, you know, and eventually I relearned the importance of just keeping your damn mouth shut and being proud of your own character, and the fact that this is so important, not just in your teenage years, but as you grow and you become an adult and a person that you are proud of. Just because everybody is doing it, I'm just thinking that you're proud of, but also becoming yourself. Just because everybody else is doing it, it doesn't mean that you need to do it. That goes for many things. Many things. And a lot of teenagers, you included, this is not necessarily a negative thing, but you might just be acting out behavior that you've seen at home, right? A lot of kids are, and we know that a lot of kids don't come from healthy backgrounds. I'm sorry to say, and it's not me criticizing them, and I'm not necessarily directly criticizing their parents. It depends on the situation, but a lot of children or teenagers around you that are hurting people, they're doing it because they are hurt themselves and they don't know how else to handle it. Now, if you're doing that, I want you to know that you don't have to handle things like that. It might feel good, but I can tell you now, there are many things in life that feel good that aren't actually good for you, and that will bite you in the bum. That can be bitching, right? And these things that feel good, they're usually easy, right? Like scrolling, it feels good, it's easy. Saying the nasty thing, saying the mean thing, it's easy in the moment, but it hurts you later on, whether it's because your relationships are breaking down, eating so much junk food, it feels good in the moment, right? But your body, your health says otherwise. Whether it's, and you might be a fit teenager, you don't feel anything now. Tell me that in 5 years, tell me that in 10 years that you don't feel anything. That could be getting involved in drugs, you know, just be really, I'm not going to say really careful, but be mindful. Be mindful. You probably have an intuition and you're developing your ability to listen to it. You're smart and you can be better than what you're allowing yourself to be. You're not an anxious person. You're just a person who experiences anxiety and you can handle it. This is so important. The use of language. I used to say I'm depressed. I used to say I'm anxious. When you define yourself like that, I'm not saying that this, it doesn't work for some people, but sometimes it's sort of diagnosing yourself, whether it be on your own or getting the official diagnosis, you lock yourself in without even realizing it. You don't recognize the fact that what you're feeling is temporary, and so it perpetuates. You are just a person experiencing anxiety, and if you're experiencing something as opposed to just being something, then surely you must have more of a grip on it. More on that in a sec. It's more normal than you think, and there are tools to help you breathe and stay calm. Plenty of people of an older generation who do not understand this, or who are not aware of your trauma, may judge you, but you don't need to judge you. What you are experiencing is more normal than you think. Hang in there, you are so strong. I think, to be honest, a lot of people of my generation struggled with this. I'd say definitely like Gen Z, millennial, because our parents just did not understand, not just our parents, but our teachers. Their generation did therapy, what? Mental health, Kelkahu, like nobody knew nothing. And so it was just like we were speaking two different languages. And just because an adult does not understand you, it does not mean that your feelings are not valid. It doesn't mean that you can't be helped. Just because they don't have the tools to help you, it doesn't mean that you can't be helped. Just because they don't know what you're experiencing, how to understand it, it doesn't mean that you can't understand it and be patient with yourself. It doesn't mean that you're a lost cause. And I think I felt so lost for so long. I was like, what are these feelings? My anxiety started when I was 13. I used to suddenly have a panic attack in the middle of a class, and only one teacher, one out of all of my subjects, you know how many classes you have at that age, one teacher understood. I still remember her name. She was so patient with me. But aside from that, I had teachers look at me like I had 5 heads. They didn't know what to do with me. They just thought I was freaking out. They wanted me to calm down. I don't know how to calm down. I couldn't breathe, right? I felt crazy. I felt ostracized a lot. I felt like I was just that complicated child. You're not complicated. You're just hurting. And you need to feel safe. And you need to feel heard. And you need to feel seen. And there will be some adults that can do that for you and others that can't, but that's not a reflection of you. And it will get easier. I'm not saying that the anxiety will ever perfectly go, but you will learn ways to handle it, and you will learn that it's just something you experience. It's not a part of you. It doesn't define you. You're not special because of it. Everybody's got something to some extent, and we experience things, something like anxiety as well, to varying degrees. And it depends on so many things. It can depend on your genetics, what you're naturally predisposed to, what trauma you've experienced in your life, where you are in your life and what's going on, your personality. There is so much that can influence your ability to handle certain things, and all of us sort of have our own limits. My anxiety that I was experiencing, a lot of that was just a sort of delayed reaction to a lot of trauma in my life, and I didn't know what to do with it. But I'm here now and I handle it, and it's something that I still experience. And sometimes if anxiety was a person, I would slap that bitch. Seriously, she drives me insane. But still give her a little pat on the back every now and then, like, yeah, it's good to see you, Chala, let's go. Like, it's just, don't beat yourself up about it. It's just a thing. It's just a thing. And if you guys ever want me to make a video on anxiety, I am more than happy to do that. I will gladly do that for you, because I have had my experience with it to varying degrees and in varying things. I can talk about some really quirky things. I can talk about social stuff, especially. I think that's been my biggest thing. I can talk about love and letting people in and friendship. There's a lot that I can go into. But just know that you're not alone. And you're not a lost cause or anything of that sort. Being cold or having goosebumps when you're outside is actually not okay. The goal is to be comfortable and warm, okay? Not hot, but like you can be comfortable. You don't have to be freezing, and then you won't fall sick as well. I used to do this thing. For some reason, I used to hate wearing a bunch of clothes. I know it sounds funny, but I'd always feel like either I was gonna be hot or I was gonna be cold, and I'd rather be cold than be hot because being hot would make me really uncomfortable, and I'm the most nasty person when I'm uncomfortable. So I would just avoid wear. I don't know why I thought that if I put on a sweater I'd just inherently be really, really hot, but you can actually wear layers that look cool and fashionable and you won't fall sick. You won't boil and you also won't fall sick. Because I used to go out, and this is so dumb, but I used to go out and I'd literally, I'd literally be like goosebump central. I have my chest out and I'd wonder why I fall sick. But it's like, it's literally because you're freezing all the time. So you might think you're invincible, but wear a jacket. Like, it doesn't mean you're ugly. Like, you can take it off when you get to your destination. Find a way, get some long sleeves that make you look hot, man. Like, just stop falling sick, please. Oh my god, guys, this is such an important one. Okay, if there's anything you take away from this video, teenage boys are stupid. Stupid. Okay? Stupid. Like, really, really stupid. Most of the time, at least. Do not, I can't even believe I have to say this, but do not tailor your looks, your appearance, your personality, anything to appease them. I think I've said this in another video, but a lot of them, sorry to say, not that I should be sorry, but a lot of them watch porn. Okay? A lot of them do. So they have this twisted idea of what a woman should look like. I mean, you're not even a woman, but anyway, that aside, a twisted idea of how women, girls should be. What are you trying to be in that? You want to look like somebody who's most likely had, what's this called? Boob job. There's an actual term, I've forgotten. But a boob job, a labiaplasty, okay, probably gets waxed and lasered everywhere, and they perform. You do realise it's a job. Why am I saying that? I'm not going to get demonetized. I guess. I don't think I get demonetized. Porn is a job. Okay, I'm not even talking about sex. Am I allowed to say these words without getting demonetized? Let's just say, I'm not even talking about sex, guys. You would be comparing yourself. I'm not just talking about the women in porn, but any sort of male fantasy, you are setting yourself up for failure. Because the simplest way I can put it is Google male gaze versus female gaze. Male gaze, a woman will always look a certain type of way, and it never accommodates for the fact that she might experience emotion, you know, that she doesn't operate like a guy, she doesn't exist to be easy to be around, you know, oh, that, you know, she doesn't always look perfect 24/7. You will never catch a break trying to appease the male gaze. No, you won't. Don't do it. Don't waste your time. I said here, they are just a ball of hormones and they don't even know what they want. Or they do, and trust me when I say it's not something that's likely to leave you too happy. Find what makes you feel attractive to you. That is so important. When I tell you, my dad was so right when he said this. He was like, teenage boys think with their schlongs. They do. Don't trust them. Don't trust them. Let me give you the simplest example. Does anyone remember, I mean, if you're 16 and watching, you might not remember, but anyone my age, does anyone remember when Nash Grier made that video on what makes women attractive? Right? Okay. If you don't know what I'm talking about, let me explain it to you. Nash Grier was a guy that was on Vine back in the day, and he was super famous on there, and he was part of, I think it's like the MagCon Boys, something like that, and they just had a huge following. And him and a bunch of guys got on a YouTube video, and they made a video, I'm pretty sure it was titled what guys find attractive in women, okay? Something very general. And one of the things they said was about arm hair. A lot of immature, silly stuff about how a girl dresses and, you know, I don't know, silly stuff, more superficial. And then they talk about arm hair. Okay, Now, I remember thinking at the time, this shouldn't be titled what makes women attractive, but rather, or what men find attractive in women, but rather what I find, not me, but Nash finds attractive in a girl. Because that's what it was. Here you have a bunch of teenage guys, immature teenage guys. By the way, I just want to add, this is no reflection of Nash right now. He is mature, he is a grown man, he is a family dad dude. Like, I fully support him. There's no beef, nothing like that. But I'm trying to express to you what the male teenage brain will be like. They will come out with generalized mush of what they think they want in a woman. They're basically regurgitating, I mean, not that guys have posters now, I don't think they do that anymore, but like, you know, a lot of Black Widow was the sexual awakening for a lot of guys, for the guys that were in my school, at least back in the day. They're just regurgitating nonsense of what they think they want, quite honestly. They're not thinking about what a girl's feelings, to be honest. They don't care about you, is what I'm trying to say. They don't care about you. So do yourself a favor and just care about you and what you feel attractive in. That will sustain you. That will make you feel a lot more fulfilled in the long run. Trying to chase a guy's approval at any point in life, but especially as a teenager, you're not gonna get anywhere. You're not. You're really not. It's like a dog chasing his own tail. Maybe that's the best way I can put it. Again, it's more general. I'm not saying that there aren't exceptions and that there aren't some amazing, sweet, loving teenage boys, but biology is biology for a reason. And I can tell you the majority of teenage guys are in no place to provide, even emotionally. The majority of them are not. They're not thinking that way. They're just thinking about getting their wet. So take care of yourself, because you will go crazy. There's only so many days that you can do Cassie's 4 a.m. morning routine without losing your shit. Oh honey, this one. Self-pleasure does not make you dirty. It does not make you a slut. It doesn't make you bad for being in touch with or owning your sexuality and being confident about it. Own it, love it, express it. It's yours. And don't worry, you made the right choice about staying a virgin. Keep waiting until you meet a person who is kind and respects you. Don't worry, it'll be worth the wait. And that genuinely was for me. I had the opportunity to do certain things and I said no. A lot of the time I said no, and I kind of felt like, oh, am I being too much of a stick in the mud? But I do not regret my decision one bit. I am so grateful for the fact that I waited and that I lost my virginity to the person that I did, and I felt safe, I felt happy, it was exactly what I wanted. Everything worked out the way that I wanted it to, and that is what you get for honoring yourself. I felt like my sexuality was never my own. I felt like whenever I started to express my sexuality, it would always be perceived that I was being something for men. And at times I was, because I was new to the attention. I had felt ugly a lot of my life. I talk about this in my puberty videos, but I felt very other. I grew up in a mostly white area, so I always felt ugly, if anyone knows what I'm talking about. And I suddenly started to glow up towards the latter end of my teen years. Well, actually, you know what? I got ugly again, which was really surprising. Or ugly, but I was like feeling myself more, like 15, 16, and so I enjoyed the male attention. But I feel like in all of that, even in sex ed, it was always very heteronormative, and there was no room for what it means to have a relationship with yourself, as strange as that sounds. It sounds strange, I guess you could say, because it's not discussed, it's not normal. I feel like women's sexuality is so often viewed through the lens of what men find attractive and what men want, and there's never a real question of what women want. And I want to say to you that if you want to experience pleasure, there is nothing wrong with that. You are a whole human being. If you desire sex, or you don't desire sex, or you desire sex with yourself, or you don't desire sex with yourself, that is valid. I wish that I'd had the space to feel comfortable with myself, and I felt shame for so long, and I carried that with me until my first sexual partner, and I realized that there was this block, and it was through practice and through having somebody else embrace me sexually where I could finally look at myself again as a sexual being and not feel so bad about it. Your sexuality, your that's there when whatever form that takes on for you, whether you're asexual or whatever you are, it's yours and it exists, and it doesn't just come around when you're 18. Now, I'm not going to promote having sex at a young age. I do think that there is a time to wait and let yourself, you might biologically feel driven to be a certain way, but emotionally what you can handle is another story. And if you're not with the right person, whatever situation, circumstance, whether it's a friends with benefits or a relationship or whatever, it can do a lot more damage than good. But we can talk about that in another video. When you're 18 and above, you might feel more emotionally prepared to handle things, but biologically what your body wants is also a thing, and that shouldn't be swept under the rug. I think when we don't talk about these things, shame is introduced, and when shame is introduced, rebellion is introduced, and confusion, and that can lead people to be in unsafe situations. And I think it's better that we just lay all the cards on the table. If you want to explore yourself, don't feel bad about it. I want you to feel good in who you are, and that's not just, you know, when it's appropriate for other, I mean, I'm not saying go and be scandalous in public, but you don't exist to be the perfect little good girl. Yeah, because there's always been that narrative for women throughout history. Be a good girl, sit like this, talk like this, be like this, don't be, you know, that whole Barbie speech even. And I don't want you to feel that because of the sex that you were born into, or not born into, the sex that you are, that you do not get the right to fully own who you are, and that you have to dim and squash certain parts of yourself. That's not what we're about here. I want you to embrace all of you and love on all of you, whatever form that takes, whether it's pleasure or not, whatever. Just own it. It's yours. And a couple more for you. It's okay if you make mistakes. You're meant to because you're human. Just learn from them and keep it moving. I used to beat myself up like anything, man. And maybe in a way it held me in good stead. Like I knew when to check myself. But listen, you're a human being, okay? And perfection is subjective. There could be an objective perfection, like a brand standard that you have to be at work, but actual human perfection is subjective. Okay, whether it's visually how you are or personality wise, it is entirely subjective. Okay, so you are guaranteed to piss somebody off in your lifetime. Sorry, just state the facts so you know now. But that doesn't mean you're a bad person. You made a mistake. Are you going to learn from it, and are you going to grow? That is the key thing. It's not if you fall over, it's whether or not you pick yourself back up. Learn that now. Fail fast, and then, I don't know, there's a saying. Let me Google it. Fail fast, learn fast? Learn faster? Well, there's definitely something, but call it a growth mindset. Don't stay stuck in what you're not. You get to, every day, every moment is an opportunity for you to redefine yourself and be like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that. Okay? Bet on yourself. You're going to be great. And last but not least, oh God, having rolls or body hair is not a bad thing. It's normal. It doesn't make you less feminine. It doesn't make you less of a woman. It grows naturally on you. How could it make you less of one? I don't understand. Make it make sense. Exactly. Listen. Set yourself free, sweetie. I'm here to set you free. And there are plenty of other women on YouTube that will gladly do that as well. You do not need to cater to the male gaze. And that's not just for men, okay? To be happy. To be at peace with yourself. You know, there's someone there are many women. You know what, I will need to go on Instagram and like put, or maybe like, I don't know, there's got to be a place where I can like tag the women that I absolutely love for their body positivity. But you know, one that just came to mind was Julie. No, what am I saying? Camilla. God, I'm getting their names mixed up. Camilla from Julie and Camilla. Okay? I freaking love that woman. She's just so happy and radiant and just herself. Like, I can't even explain to you. I watch her videos and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gay or I'm just in love with this woman's energy, because seeing a woman just be so comfortable with herself, and I love the fact that she's inspiring other women to do the same, but I talk about this in other videos as well. think, just for 1 second, how much time as a woman we spend just pruning and, like, you know, even shaving. Like, guys, what? They get in the shower, they wash, you know, they get out. For us, it's usually this whole drama, and we think that a man is going to reject us if we don't look a certain way. No, a boy will reject you if you don't look a certain way. A man, no. And either way, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I used to sit, can't remember if I've shared this already, but when it was sports day, right? Let me just show you as well. Let's go back. Look, I still got rolls. This is me chilling over here. Yes, I've been going to the gym, but fat is normal. You're a human being, okay? You're going to have muscle, skin, fat, hair. Unless maybe you have like alopecia or like another condition, which is again totally fine, but you're made up of stuff, right? Look, I'm not gonna strip, obviously, because that's inappropriate. But like, I'm a whole human being, and this is just my genetics and the compilation of my lifestyle habits. And you know, you can't see it from there, but I haven't shaved my snail trail in a minute. So there's that. I haven't shaved my pits. I go to the gym like this, guys. I mean, not with like my whole belly out, but I go to the gym like this. I'll be doing my lat pull downs, everything. Guys everywhere. It's the gym, for crying out loud. You know? And I think unraveling that, like, the male gaze and how embedded it is, it takes time, and I'm still working through it. And I think I will probably be working until I hit menopause and all of a sudden society deems me useless and pointless. And then I'll be like, oh, wow, okay, like, really, who am I? And I think that's when I'll sort of shed that fully, because men won't be looking at me like that anymore. But at the very least, relieve yourself slightly, for God's sake. For God's sake. Listen, I can also tell you as an experienced woman, I'm a woman talking to you, sweetheart, that men, majority of them, really couldn't give a crap about that stuff. Obviously, it's not every girl. I know there are girls that they don't feel the same way towards men. And it's not all male catered. Like, some of this behavior, it's literally just about what we feel we should be as women. You don't need to be that. You really, really don't. You're allowed to be as you are, exist as you are, and be loved for it. And just entertain that for a second. Just for a second, and feel the lightness of it. That's your natural state. You're meant to stay that way. If you feel heavy, you feel burdened by, oh no, they're not gonna love me, they're not gonna, I have to be this, and oh, I need to look hot, and I'm on my period, and I'm so bloated, and oh my god, I need to cover up. Like I was saying, I used to be at sports day, and I'd have my skirt and my shirt, and I couldn't let a bit of skin show. No, I would tuck everything, and I'd sit, I'd sit sucking my stomach in. Can you imagine hours of sucking your stomach in? And then I would literally, like, I would sit up, like, kind of straight. No one can see my rolls. No one can see my rolls. No one can see my rolls. Or always like pulling this, pulling that, tucking this, tucking that. Why? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know, even if you go more like the other way, if you feel like you're too skinny, are you healthy? Are you happy? Then the rest, babe. The rest. Because I can tell you, you got one body. You might as well make peace with it now. I'm not saying that's going to be easy. I'm not saying I have it all figured out. I'm not saying that I can't be a hypocrite when it comes to that. I absolutely can. I'm a woman. Okay? We preach one thing and sometimes we feel another, and we can't help it. Whether it's our hormones dictating it or society. But for the most part, collectively, let's make an effort to stop hating ourselves and cut that shit short in our teen years so that we don't carry it with us moving forward. I think, yes, on the one hand, it's a lot more toxic now because of social media, but on the other hand, it's a lot less toxic because of social media. You have the bodies out there that are almost perfection because of Photoshop. And then you have the bodies out there which are real. The people out there which are real. Who are here to tell you that they are happy and they are thriving and they are hot and they are sexy. And they are a size 0 and a size 12, 14, 15, 16, not 15. But you know what I mean? Hot, sexy, cool, comes in all different shapes and sizes, all different skin colors, tones, textures, everything, different race, everything. There is only one you. These are just all my points that I wrote down honestly for myself, and then if it helps you guys, that is just a huge bonus. I wouldn't make a video if I didn't feel it could help some people out there. So I really hope if you're 16 or you're young or you're anybody and you're watching this, that this helps you. If you have any tips yourself, of course comment them down below. I want this to be a positive space where we can encourage people at large, not just women, not just young people, but people at large, to feel more at peace with themselves, to feel comfortable, to feel happy, to feel like they are happy to be here, to be alive, to be experiencing life. I've somewhat made it my mission to bring that to people as much as I can when I'm consciously paying attention to it, because for a long time I didn't want to be here for a variety of reasons, and I don't want that feeling for other people. I want you to feel like you can thrive in yourself and that you're enough. Stop apologizing for who you are, and you'll figure it out. You're gonna be great. Just have fun. If you want to be young, be young. Like, you want to go to that party and you can go to that party, go to that party. If you want to talk to that boy, talk to that boy. Or you want to talk to that girl, talk to that girl. Even that, I was so scared of my own sexuality when I was younger. This is not a coming out video or anything, but just, I felt like I had to be a certain way. Trust yourself, explore yourself. It's an adventure. You get the joy of getting to know yourself. You've been a child for so long and your parents have told you, your guardians have told you what to do, who to be, how to act. Now you get the opportunity to start figuring out bit by bit who you are, what feels right to you. And it doesn't mean you have all the answers. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to not make mistakes. In fact, I'd encourage you to make the mistakes. Nothing too crazy, you know. We don't need to be starting a gang and, you know, anything dangerous around here, health and safety wise. But if you want to try new things and get to know yourself, I don't want you to feel bad about that. I want you to love yourself whilst you do it, and learn to love yourself whilst you do it, and just enjoy the ride. Really learn to enjoy the ride. I wouldn't want to go back to being 16. I wouldn't want to go back to being a teenager. I think it was just really hard for me personally. But I know that's not everybody's experience. So if anybody's in a similar situation, is that Shine? That's Shine. If anybody's in a similar situation to me, like when I was your age, I just want to say you will make it through, and I'm so proud of you. You're going to be great. That's all I can really say. You're going to be great. The real world is different to school. When you're in school, you grow up going to school. It feels like it is your world. But when you get out there, it's almost better, because people judge you differently and you have more space. A lot of what they promote in school as well is, I don't know, like, you have to have the perfect job title. What do you want to do? You give them a job title. Let me tell you something. Yesterday, I clocked it fully and securely who I want to be in my life. Finally, I was elated. I felt this buzz, guys. I felt this buzz. Then I got out the shower and then I was like, but I don't know what the job title is. And the thing is, we live in a world now where you don't need to know the job title of what you want to do. You don't need to have the perfect answer. There is space for that. There is space for you. So let yourself flourish, let yourself bloom. There are people out there that are ready to accept you and pull out a seat at the table for you. You're going to be fantastic. The world is set up for you to be fantastic. So bet on yourself, love on yourself, and I'll see you on the other side. That's it for now. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.